for each individual, we have to make our own decisions about how we want to be sexual with ourselves and sexual with other people. So there's not one answer, and there's not one number, and there's not one way. Like, it goes back to what I was talking about with self-knowledge, like really knowing yourself, knowing what your desires are, knowing what your boundaries are, knowing how to communicate those, and then making those decisions for yourself. And I mean, it sounds really easy when I like list it off like that, but it's not. It's like really hard, and there's a lot of different, factors that influence that. But ultimately, I think that that's, when we're talking about congruence, to be congruent with yourself, that's what's most important, and that's what I feel like part of sexual health is. Cool. Go ahead.
Okay, I guess my question is, as a therapist, how would you be able to determine between a woman who's, I guess, sexually liberated versus a woman who's using sex as a means to fulfill like an insecurity or something?
I really trust people. I think that if people are given the right conditions, that we can discover these things about ourselves. It's kind of like what I was saying, like you have the power to know yourself, you have the power to love yourself in this very moment as who you are. So we have a lot of barriers to that, we have a lot of things that are getting in the way, we have a lot of shit to unpack. I'm sorry, I keep swearing. I'm sorry. We have a lot of things to unpack. But that, that self-knowledge and like being able to figure that out for yourself, that you can trust your body, that you can trust yourself. And that doesn't happen overnight. And like I think as a therapist, I definitely worked with people, at different stages of like that self-knowledge process. But I really believe that if you have those conditions and if you have that love and that support, that you can figure that out for yourself.
I'm going to wrap it up, but if you could answer my question is, if you could give out like a few tips, like if you have a lot of negative self-talk or like if you have low self-esteem, what are some tips you could take home tonight to like help yourself with having better self-esteem? Like
sure.
basic,
yeah, okay.
like easy
so
stuff.
Susie's asking about like if you have a lot of negative self-talk, if you say a lot of mean, critical things to yourself, what are some tools that maybe you could just try? Little take-home tips. Okay, free therapy, because I'm at the university.
Basically.
One thing that I tell people is to just start to raise your awareness, raise your consciousness of what you are saying to yourself. Because it just happens all day and we don't even notice it. But so start to try to notice that a little bit. And there's different ways that you can do that, but I always tell people, because I don't journal a lot personally. I think journaling is really powerful and people should totally do it and it'll really help you. But for me, I find it difficult. So, I don't enforce it. But, just raising your awareness, just trying to check in with yourself over the course of the day. Like maybe you're walking to class and you're like involved in this whole thing and then you're kind of saying like, God, I can't believe I did blah, 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 and you're so stupid and whatever. Like you're saying all these things to yourself. Just take a deep breath and be aware of what you're doing. Just take a second and sort of be aware of like, what am I saying to myself? What kind of like violent language am I using against myself? And would I use that against other people? And then start to try to interrupt that. And I'm a big fan of mantras. I know people are like, whatever, that's kind of woo. But just like introduce it. Like just trying to say, when I was going through a lot of like change in my life, I wrote on a piece of paper, all is well, all will be well, and like put it on the wall. Just because, I kind of needed that. I needed that reinforcement. So you can do that with yourself in different ways, like putting something up on your mirror, or putting it on your dorm room, or like, something that's kind or loving or just that you would say to yourself. So developing that compassion. So developing that awareness, even writing it down. There's actually a great book if people are interested. It's called the Self-Esteem Workbook, and it talks a lot about sort of different strategies that you can use for sort of being aware of how your thoughts affect your feelings and, sort of what you're doing with that. So that would be something, you can just Google that. It'll come up.
Cool.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll be around for